DTMreview.com here with the Retro Rampage podcast. This is sort of our part 3 of talking about E3 this week. And on the past 2 episodes, feel free to go and look at them and listen to those. We kind of talked about the other games that we were excited about, had questions about, or were just sort of polarized about. Obviously talked about Resident Evil 7, the new God of War, and anything in between that we seem to care about. But this last segment, we want to talk about Zelda Breath of the Wild. And, you know, while Sony definitely cleaned up the event, I mean, they own the event all day, every day, Zelda was the show stealer as a whole. It was like the main game. And I think most people are pretty much agreeing to that. But I watched everything. And I watched the 30-minute demos they had. I watched as much as I could about it and soaked up as much as I could. And this game's been delayed, for 3 years, Zach?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I'm glad they gave us as much as they did because it's been 3 years, man. It was almost like borderline not caring anymore because it's like it was supposed to be at last year's and the one before that. It's just like, God, who cares?
We didn't even have a title.
No, and now they got...
Until now.
Well, and now it doesn't seem like it's not too long it'll be out. What, in January?
Mm-hmm.
You know? So Breath of the Wilds, at first the name, I'm like, okay, you know? Because if you notice, this is the first title that is like that. Usually, it's never such a broad subtitle. Like, Breath of the Wild is more like a description of Hyrule, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas the title is usually like something pertaining to the story. Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess. It's always like a direct link to something.
Well, maybe the title is the story's about breath.
Halitosis. Secretly, it's about halitosis. No, they were saying it at the E3. I was watching all the interviews and stuff, and they were saying, that title was very broad intentionally. It's just sort of about they're embracing the open world, the big wild yonder, and basically the game is exactly what I expected it was going to be. Skyrim, Zelda. But at the same time, even though none of it surprised me, it still came out better than I thought, and I was actually excited by it. Because I don't know how excited I was about it, because, you know, Zelda fever, it's been kind of waning. And they needed to change something.
I never get tired of Zelda.
They needed to change something. As much as I love Skyward Sword, I felt like they needed the revolution during that game. They should have made a bigger change during that one. But Skyward Sword's great. You know, because usually in the Zelda games, they're basically, it's the same skin, but they add like one thing, right? Like one new little thing, little gimmick. This one, there's a lot new, and it's weird to see sort of a franchise that obviously is Japanese, is an innovator, embracing Western RPG culture. It's kind of weird. It's a little polarizing, but I think it works out great. But yeah, so it's very customizable. He's not in his traditional green tunic, which I get it. It's going to be... It's like a Skyrim game. You're going to be able to acquire new outfits and new clothes, you know. I hear that you can even acquire like suits of armor if you want. You know, and you find weapons where you find them. You steal weapons from enemies. You find them across the land. You use them until they break and get weak, you know, and you throw them at an enemy, and you can steal an enemy's spear. You can steal stuff. So it's a little bit more like a Demon's Souls or like a Skyrim in particular. And, you know, they said the map in which you see the stuff that they played in the demo was only 1% of the world. So it's pretty massive. Which is exciting. But they also said that it's not a linear game or a linear experience at all. They pretty much said, technically, you could beat the final boss from the very first 5 minutes of playing the game if you want. You can go right to it. They're saying, like, you know, if you're a skilled enough gamer and you think you can take it on with no weapons and no, you know, weak, go for it. It's there for you. So that's interesting. I mean, it's exciting. I don't think enemies drop hearts or anything like that anymore. I think it's strictly the cooking system, you know, the alchemy thing, right? Like you collect apples and fruits and stuff like that, and you cook and you get hearts from it. I kind of dig that. I think that's kind of cool. I think they're doing it right because it still seems like as long as they can breathe all this new life into it and all these new things, but still it can be Zelda still. I think they could have kept the green tunic. Even if, like, he just had the green tunic at the start of the game.
Yeah.
That would have been enough, and then over the course...
I'm sure it's there.
It has to be. You have to be able to get the classic green tunic. But how... I don't know. It's one of those things where... Are you really going to really wear the green tunic? Because if it's going to be this thing where what you wear depends on how strong you are, you're probably going to have the game wearing, like, whatever armor or whatever you got, you know, to actually play... But who knows? But you start out like in boxer shorts. You don't even start off like with any clothes. And then, you know, wherever you wake up, that's where you find your first shirt and all that stuff and equipment.
Too bad you have boxer shorts. I want to see fucking Link's cock.
Okay. Link's little smoky. God. But there was also, but it's kind of cool though. Like there was a scene where he was fighting and he found he literally found a pot lid for a shield. It was a pot lid, you know, and it can only, I like it. I think it's the way to go. I think it's cool. I don't know why we still can't have voice acting though. Skyrim and stuff like that, it's voice acted. And people were kind of flipping their wigs, you know, like, oh my God, first time ever has been voice acting in a Zelda game. It's voiceover because the voice that wakes you up at the beginning, Link, wake up, Link. That's talking. And then it got my hopes up. But then in the demo, you find someone, there's like an old man that kind of looks like the parallel of like someone like the owl, right? Mm-hmm. Or whatever. Did
they say there's not going to be voice acting or?
Well, you talk to him and then it goes back to standard Zelda, like words. It's like, okay, is it just...
So they're not still recording voices and that was just an early version?
Or do you think they're gonna...
That's possible.
Well, but it still looked like Zelda, like their mouths weren't moving and shit. Do you think they'd really like have those voices and have not like no mouths moving?
They're talking telepathically.
I don't know. That would be cool. I mean, I don't want Link to talk. I don't want them to do that. That would be a big mistake. That takes you out of it. But everybody else talking would be a really cool thing. At least like make the main characters talk, like sort of the key people that have key information. You know, kind of like games like Final Fantasy X, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that's the way 10 was, right? Not everybody talks, or is that right?
Yeah.
It's like when you play Final Fantasy X, just about everybody talks, and then they release Final Fantasy 12 and nobody talks anymore. I remember when I bought Final Fantasy 12, my dad wanted to check it out because he loved Final Fantasy X, and he loved Final Fantasy 7 and 8, 9. But then when they introduced the talking, like once you give it to him, you can't take it away. That was awesome. It's like, well, they're just gonna talk. It's great. Then when he saw me playing 12, I showed him 12. He's like, they're not talking. He's like, fuck this, and he didn't play it. He would not play it. Because it's like, I'm the same way, man. What year?
You get to do the voice acting yourself.
Yeah, you know, I'm the same way, man. I don't want to read, man. It's 2016.
I never even think it. I always go back and play games where there's no voice acting, and I'm like, oh, there's no voice acting. It's like whenever I'm playing it, I just hear the voices in my head.
I don't know, but they've had voice acting. Resident Evil had voice acting, for crying out loud. It's been a staple for 20 years. But whatever. That's a small nitpick. I think it looks great, though. I think they added all these functionalities. Like, it's very... everything's interactive. Like, I think a lot of the puzzles are going to be more like that. Like, he's pushing boulders. You can, like, you know, chop down trees, push boulders. You can move all this... You can just, like... It looks like one of those things where you can just do just about anything. And that's exciting. I like that. And it's not a hand-holding game from what they said. It's just pretty much cast you off and... You know, do as you will, unfold the story as you will. There's going to be these shrines and mini shrines where you do these trials, and I don't know. It's still a bit ambiguous, but it looks really, really cool. And gosh, there was something else I wanted to mention. I can't remember it. I can't remember to save my life. Timeline wise, who knows where it fits in? It had those little creatures from Wind Waker, little tree creatures, like Deku tree things. It's like, where is this? It should be way in the future. I mean, none of this like don't convolute things. Like you can't. Skyward Sword is supposed to be the first Zelda game, right?
Yeah.
You know, so hopefully this is way in the future. And they did make a mention of Ganon, so hopefully they're not getting weird with it. Please just make Ganon the villain. You know, as much as you know the other villains are okay. Like in Skyward Sword, it wasn't Ganon and whatever. But yeah, so it looks cool. I don't really know. I'm excited for the change. I'll say this, like, I don't have the same feelings I did like with something like Resident Evil 7, because Zelda really needed it. It's like we really wanted this like twist. We needed it to catch up a little bit. And I think I'm way more excited for this than I was for Skyward or any of that stuff, you know? Skyward came out, but it just seems arbitrary. New Zelda, you know, I'll play it. It's a lot of fun. But this one actually has me really excited. And I'm glad I watched all that stuff, because now I'm actually amped for it. Now I really want it to come out. And I want to get an NX. I want to see what that's all about, if it's got a better version of it. But, yeah, I don't know. What were your opinions on it? I mean, you said you didn't really watch too much on it.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it yet. I'm going to. I'm
just glad they didn't make Link a girl like they were kind of toying with. And that was the rumors when they were showing the trailers last year. Like, oh, is Link a female? Because he looks really effeminate. And they had said, and
he's a beta male, bro.
Well, and that's not dogging that. But they said, well, we toyed with it.
I'm actually making fun of the people that use that term.
I know, it's stupid. But, you know, they said at the E3 this year that they actually toyed with that, making him the first female Link. But then it kind of hit them. It's like, why would we do that? If we're going to do a female protagonist, we'll just make Zelda the main character. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, exactly. And I wouldn't be against that. That's fine.
I'd be happy to see Link with some titties. No, I'm joking.
But no, it's like, I think that would have been too far. That would have been too much. Like, if they would have came out and Link was a girl too, that would have been just a little bit too much taken away from the core. But I think they still have enough. It still seems like Zelda. You know, you still have Death Mountain. You can still see Hyrule Castle. You can still see all these cool things. The Temple of Time, I know, is in it. That's great. That's awesome. That's exactly what we want. No, I want that. We haven't had a classic on the ground Zelda game where everything's open. You know, it's just been Twilight Princess. Back when I played that, it was annoying as piss. Oh, I can only go this far until I lock the next part. You know, it was so annoying. Skyward Sword's the same thing, where you can only fly down into certain segments, right? It's just, It's like, God. And they used to say that was because of like technical restrictions. But no, this is cool. This is like the game. This is like Ocarina of Time on crack. Ocarina of Time was like this back in the day. Because like when you first saw Hyrule Field, it's like, oh my God. That was like, that's top gaming memory for me. The first time you step out on the Hyrule Field in 64, Ocarina of Time. Because it felt so big. We never had a game with that big of an open world. And obviously now it's not really that open, right? It's like, how long does it take you to cross it? 5 minutes?
3 minutes, something like that.
3 minutes? But it was so big. It might even take longer to go edge to edge and Link to the Past with all the obstacles, maybe. But it seemed huge. It seemed vast. And this one, you know, it's the same thing, you know, where they're saying it's going to take, and I think they always overquote this. It would take you 10 hours to cross the map. You know, they always overshoot that shit. But
if they mean in-game time.
Can't the clock moves fast, like Majora's Mask clock. Majora's Mask clock? No, thanks. But no, even if this thing takes 2 hours to cross, that's fine with me. That's still huge. It's bigger than I've ever had. So I'm stoked for it. I think it's going to be a great game. And hopefully it's what Nintendo... I think it's a smart thing. I mean, I'm hoping that the game, since it showed at E3 and the game got such a hugely good response, maybe that's maybe that's just the fuel Nintendo needs to actually hype up the NX.
Yeah.
So hopefully it has a good launch for them. The only thing that hurts that is the games they showed with Zelda were still typical Nintendo fare. Like, we only care about Zelda. Everything else we don't care about. They need to kind of escape that. But I'm pretty sure next year will be all about the NX and hopefully some third-party support. But whatever. That's all I got to say about it. Anything to add that isn't like Link having tits?
I wish Link had a pussy too.
Go.
No, that's not gonna make it in there.
Oh, you should totally leave it in. Don't compromise yourself.
Well, since you asked, I'll do it.
Now I'm in it too. Now I'm guilty.
I just figured it wasn't funny enough.
No, it was funny and disgusting. But let us know what you think of the new Zelda game. Let us know if you're offended at Zach's clear sexism. I'm just kidding. Don't get it. Don't get it in a wad. It's fine. But let us know what you think. I'm stoked for it. Let us know on btmreview.com. Obviously, comment and leave us feedback on YouTube, iTunes, all that good stuff. Twitter, it's literally everywhere. Even on the Tumblr for all you 11-year-olds. We're there too.
A lot of porn on there.
There sure is. I don't stay on there too long. I go there and do my thing and post on here, and that's it. But you 11-year-olds shouldn't be on Tumblr. But let us know what you think. Obviously, subscribe, like, share. That helps out immensely. And like I said, check out our other works that we got going on. The Behind the Mask podcast, the film commentaries we've been doing. We do a lot of reviews and things like that, and interviews. Some metalheads out there. There's a Todd Jones Nails interview, and you hardcore punk kids out there. Just a lot of goodies. We're trying to keep it broad. There's even some video game commentaries on there. We haven't done one in a while, but go check those out as well. And we'll see you guys next time. I'm Aaron.
I'm Zach.
Good night.